Step here, and this is the where we're going to crimp the die, or use the die crimp, factory crimp die on our bullet. And it's worth the money to just buy the 4 die set from the beginning, because when you buy the single dies, you actually spend more than if you buy the whole set at one time. Midway USA is a good place to. They're really reasonable. They're very reputable, and of course, I bought my die sets from my ammo guy up in Anthony, Florida. I got everything from him, but what this particular die does is puts an actual crimp around the bullet, and it's kind of like sealing that bullet into which the bullet seating die does do that, but it doesn't put the crimp on it that this die does, and so I highly recommend it. Again, you screw it all the way down until it hits the collar and back it out 2 turns. The top here adjusts how much of a crimp you want. I like a good tight crimp, so I've got it pretty tight there. But what you can do is back this off, okay, and put your bullet in there. And seat your bullet up, and then you can tighten this down till it just touches the bullet. Pull your bullet out, and then tighten this down a turn and a half, however much of a crimp you'd like on your bullet there. I like like I say, I like a good tight crimp, and once it's set, you don't need to readjust that. And even if I change bullets from my round tip to my hollow points, I don't need to change my crimp die. It works the same for both. So that's how to and that's a real. I mean, that looks like a brand new bullet right out of the factory, and that's the way it should look. So just be very careful. Like I say, if you're going to reload. And once you get past the initial investment of your reloader and all of that, I mean, I can reload rounds for pennies on the dollar, compared to, and especially the price of ammunition has just gone through the roof. Again, our first process is to tumble our rounds, and I just use a slotted spoon here to take them out of the tumbler, and then when you deprime them, you want to make sure you inspect your rounds, your casings, to make sure there's no cracks or bulges or anything like that, and so you want to do that. Then when you go to put your powder, always make sure you've got your loading data, and like I say, whatever powder, and it doesn't matter what powder you use, you can go online and get their reloading data, and I really suggest you just print off every bullet, and that way you've got it all together. And like I say, in my drawer here, I've got 380, 38 special, my 9mm, 357, and so when I do those rounds, I just double check to make sure that I've got my powder my powder measure set right. Always make sure that you do one thing at a time. Tumble, deprime and prime, inspect, and then do 10, 20, 30 rounds, whatever you feel comfortable with. put your powder in, then put your bullet in, and I do the crimping very last. I don't worry about crimping them. Once, I'll load them all, and then I'll crimp them all at the same time. But just to make sure that you don't, here's the danger in this, and there's a couple of things I want to really stress. If you fail to put powder in a casing, what will happen is your primer will have enough power to send that round partway down the barrel, and so now you've got a round that's stuck in the barrel. And I've actually had that happen to me. It's kind of no big deal. You get a little rod or whatever, and you pound that round back into the. If you've got a revolver, what you have to do is pound that round back into the casing in order to get your chamber or your cylinder open. On a semi-automatic, it's not so bad because you can drop the magazine and just pound the round back through and out the magazine port. With a revolver, it's a little bit more involved. But you will hear